Hey guys, this is day 3 of your pre-recorded lessons by your fabulous teachers. I know most of you are excited because you get to end up with the best. Anyway, alright guys, we're going to go ahead and start talking about the juvenile process. Okay, if you look around the room right now, you'll see that except for your teacher, everyone in here is a juvenile. Doesn't matter if you feel old or not. By your age, you are all considered juveniles. So you need to make sure that you're paying special attention to all of this because this all will affect you. Okay. Basically, guys, we're going to explain how the court system treats juvenile offenders. All right. Y'all are a completely different breed. So the juvenile gets treated just a little bit differently than we would an adult. Okay, so basically, guys, we're going to look at a couple of different behaviors, explain those, and see why they're important. All right, a juvenile. It is someone who is 17 years old or younger. Usually, guys, the juvenile process, they try to keep juveniles out of the court system until they're a little bit older, but sometimes that doesn't happen. So as long as you're under the age of 17, you are considered a juvenile still in the state of Georgia. Now, state to state can change just a little bit different, but remember, we're talking about Georgia. All right, guys, just a little bit of history on the juvenile court system. Back in the early 1900s, 1906 specifically, the court decided that juveniles were a little bit different than adults. Okay, if you think about it, y'all are still developing. Your brains are still developing. You're not actually out of your adolescent stage till you're in your 20s. All right, so the way that your thought process works and things like that is a completely different ballgame than for adults. Okay, so basically the General Assembly wanted to basically try to protect our juveniles and help the juveniles to be fixed in a sense before they were just thrown into jail. Okay, Fulton County actually had the first juvenile court system. So I guess probably since it was the capital or where the capital was located, it makes more sense that way. Okay, all right. Basically, guys, there are two different types of behaviors that you need to be aware of as a juvenile. You have delinquent behavior and unruly behavior. You have to know the difference between these two. Unruly behavior. Basically, guys, it is not a crime unless it is committed by some person that is 17 years old or younger. Okay. For example, running away from home. All right. I'm the big 31. Nobody's really going to be concerned, and I'm not going to get in trouble if I decide to run away from home. Obviously, I have things I have to do, like bills to pay, that sort of thing. But the police, they're not going to come after me and look for me. I don't have anybody to answer to because I'm an adult. You guys don't, okay? If you get caught drinking before you're 21, obviously that's an issue, okay? Obviously, one of the biggest ones that get a lot of juveniles is the fact that you don't go to school. Okay, you have to go to school by law. Now, do I have to go to school? Well, I guess I kind of do because I teach and I would lose my job, but it's not a crime if I don't. Okay, I just lose my job and don't have any money. So there you go. A delinquent behavior, on the other hand, is a crime no matter your age. Okay, if you go in and rob a bank, if you murder someone, all of those things are a crime. Does not matter how old you are. Okay, so again, guys, know the difference. Unruly, it's a crime if you're a juvenile. Okay, but not if you're an adult. Delinquent behavior means, sorry, it's a crime no matter your age. Okay, all right, your rights as a juvenile. When you get arrested, there's a couple of different steps that have to take place than when you're an adult. You get arrested as an adult, they're not worried about calling you mama. They don't care how much you cry about it. Once you're an adult, they're not worried about it. You deal with your stuff. But as a juvenile, it's a little bit different. Okay? Some of your rights, and these may be a little bit different than the ones that are on your slotted notes. We updated them a little bit before, but they're basically the same. Okay? There's nothing crazy that you won't have to memorize these or anything. basically, guys, before you can be questioned, you have the right to have a parent present, okay? They can't really start questioning you unless your parent's there, okay? You have the right to not have your name and picture put into public, okay? If you'll notice any court cases or anything dealing with juveniles, you won't hear their name mentioned and you won't see their picture, okay? That's because you're still a juvenile. You have the right to 2 phone calls, okay? Whereas adults only get 1, you get 2. You get the right to call your parents and you get the right to call a lawyer. Those are 2 pretty important people that you need. You have the right not to be placed with adult offenders. If you end up being arrested as a juvenile, they cannot take you down to the local jail. They have to take you to RYDC, which is a regional youth detention center. Luckily for you guys, there's one right here in town, okay? Don't go to it though, okay? I don't suggest that. You also have the right to contact your parents immediately. Usually if the police get involved, they are going to immediately start trying to get in touch with your parents. If they can't, obviously you'll head on down to RYDC, but they will still continue to try to contact your parents. It's very, very important, okay? And then, of course, you also have the right to not self-incriminate, okay? That's kind of the whole pleading the fifth thing. But when you do that, they have to make sure that you truly understand what that means, okay? Whether it's with somebody there that's part of the youth detention center, something, they will make sure that you understand what's going on, okay? One of the other things, guys, is the fact that adults have the right to a trial by jury, okay? Juveniles don't. And I know with my classes, we've discussed this. It's very hard to have a jury trial with your peers when you're 13, because you guys are a completely different breed when it comes to figuring out guilt and innocence, okay? Because of that, juveniles do not have a right to a jury trial, okay? The only time they have a jury trial is if they end up being tried as an adult, okay? Which completely different process that we will all talk about tomorrow with your regular class, okay? Juvenile jurisdiction. This means the area that it covers, all right? Basically, guys, 17 years or younger. There are special cases if you are an 18-year-old and you are deprived, which means that you have been without the supervision of an adult for a certain number of years. At that point, they realize maybe you just haven't been taught the way that you're supposed to, or you just don't understand the full process of things. So there are times where they do make special judgment calls like that, but it's 17 years or younger, okay? All right, so let's say that you go to the QT and somebody steals 10 candy bars from the QT. Don't do it. It's not good. It's a crime. It's actually a delinquent behavior. But if you make that bad choice, and you do, these are the steps that the juvenile justice will follow. Okay. Basically, guys, you're going to be taken into custody. They do have to prove basically that this is a crime that you have committed before they can actually hold you, which would be to detain you. But basically, you're going to get taken into custody. They're going to notify your parents or your grandparents, whoever it is that you're living with at the time. They will decide at that point whether they're going to release you to your parents, or do they have enough to hold you or to detain you. Okay? If you are detained, remember you will go to RYDC. You will not be placed with adults. Okay? At that point, guys, then they have to go through the whole court proceedings. You have to go through a probable cause hearing. Okay? That's where they decide, are we going to detain you, or do we need to go ahead and let you go while we decide what's to happen, okay? Next step, adjudicatory hearing. This is where basically you decide, are you guilty? The next step would be the dispositional hearing, and this is where the judge is going to sentence you. Are you going to have to spend some more time in RYDC? Are you going to go on probation? Or at this point, if your crime is severe enough, they will decide to try you as an adult, which means that you will go to superior court, where you will be judged by a jury. Okay, that's a big deal, and again, we'll discuss that more once we get back to our regular classes with your regular teachers. Okay, all right. At that point, guys, that is it for the day. That will wrap things up. Just know that we'll pick back up tomorrow. We got some pretty serious things that we'll discuss tomorrow. But until then, enjoy your government projects. Be good. Do what you're supposed to do. Make good choices. And we'll catch back up with everybody tomorrow. Deuces.